Your quiz covers sections 11.1, 2, and 3. It'll ask you to determine the dimensions of a matrix. Remember, those are rows by columns, to write a given system of equations as an augmented matrix or a coefficient matrix, or both. It'll also ask you to add, subtract, or multiply matrices, and then state if two matrices are inverses of one another, and state the inverse of the given matrix. So for numbers 1 and 2, we're going to start by determining the dimensions of each of the matrices. For number 1, you have 1, 2, 3 rows by 1, 2, 3 columns. So your dimensions of that matrix are just a 3 by 3. If we look at number 2, you have 1 row by 1, 2, 3 columns. So that's a 1 by 3 matrix. For number 3, you are given the system of equations and you're asked to write it as an augmented matrix and a coefficient matrix. For the augmented matrix, it includes your answers. For the coefficient, it doesn't. So for your augmented matrix, we're going to start with the first equation, the 3x plus 2y is equal to 7. You write down your coefficients first, so that's 3, 2, and 0, because it does not include the z. That 7 will go last. Next equation, you have 5x minus 11y plus 9z is equal to 12. So that's 5, negative 11, 9, and 12 in your answer column. Lastly, the 4x minus 6y plus 7z is equal to 8 goes down as 4, negative 6, 7, and 8. We are going to draw the line that designates the difference between our coefficients and our answers so that we have this augmented matrix. For your coefficient matrix, you are just including the coefficients. So that's the 3, 2, 0 for your first row, 5, negative 11, 9 for your second row, and 4, negative 6, 7 for your third. For your next question, you're told that the matrix for A is row 1 is 6, 4, row 2 is negative 3, 9. For B, row 1 is 4, 2, and row 2 is negative 8, negative 11. You're solving for x. In the equation, 1/2 x plus b is equal to a. So we're going to take this 1/2 x. Let's do it this way. Hold on. 1/2 x plus b is equal to a, and we're going to solve that for x. So we're going to move that b over by subtracting it from both sides. That gives us 1/2 x is equal to a minus b. And then we're going to divide each side by that 1/2 or multiply each side by the reciprocal, which is 2. So that means that x is 2 times a minus b. If you're finding 2 times a minus b here, I would find first the a minus b. So you're going to have your first matrix minus your second. From here, you're just subtracting, so make sure that your dimensions are the same. The 6 minus 4 is going to give us 2. The 4 minus 2 gives us 2. Negative 3 minus negative 8 is negative 11. And 9 minus negative 1 is 10. Sorry, let's backtrack here. Negative 3 minus negative 8. It becomes positive, so addition. So negative 3 plus 8 would just give us 5. And then the 9 plus 1 is 10.
She has a twin.
So from here, we're going to take this matrix that we just found, which is the a minus b, and do 2 times that. So that means that's going to become 2 times the matrix of row 1 being 2, 2, row 2 as 510. So remember, when you multiply a single number by a matrix, you're just multiplying each of the numbers within the matrix by that number. So 2 times 2 gives us 4. 2 times 2 again is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. And 2 times 10 is 20. So this matrix that you have here is your answer. For your next question, you are using the matrices of A, B, C, D, or E in the following questions. For number 5, you're doing A plus B. You have a 2 by 3 for A and a 2 by 3 for B. They are the same dimensions, so we can add those. So we're just going to do that. So your first, you have row 1 as 6, 4, negative 2. Row 2 as negative 8, 7, 4. Your second, B, you have row 1 being 2, negative 9, 5, negative 3, 1, and 0 as row 2. So we're just adding these. So we're going to do 6 plus 2, which is 8. 4 plus negative 9, or 4 minus 9, is negative 5. Negative 2 plus 5, or 5 minus 2, is 3. Second row, negative 8 plus negative 3 is negative 11. 7 plus 1 is 8. And 4 plus 0 is 4. So this is your answer. Number 6, you are given C plus E. C is a 3 by 2, E is a 3 by 1. They are not the same dimensions, so you cannot do this. You can just give that there's no solution. And that's because your dimensions are not the same. For number 7, you have C times A. C is a 3 by 2, A is a 2 by 3. So that means you're doing a 3 by 2 times a 2 by 3. Your two middle numbers are the same, so you can multiply these. That means that your two outside numbers give you the dimensions of your answer. So your answer is going to be a 3 by 3. So we're going to take C, which is 3, negative 4. Second column, negative 2, 1. Third column, negative 5, 7. And multiply it with A, which is 6, 4, negative 2 in the first row, negative 8, 7, 4 in the second. So we're going to go row by column here. Yeah. We're going first row by first column first. So we do 3 times 6, which is 18. Negative 4 times negative 8, 32. Add those. Yeah. That gives you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 and 8 is 10, carry the 1, so 2 and 3 is 5, so that's 50. That's going to be your first number.
Wait, so you did 3 times 6, and then what?
Negative 4 times negative 8. So it's 3 times 6, then negative 4 times negative 8. Numbers in the first row times the numbers in the first column, and you add them all up. Next, you're doing first row by second column. So we're going to do 3 times 4, which is 12, and negative 4 times 7, which is negative 28. When you combine them and add them, 3 times 4, negative 4 times 7.
Oh, I forgot.
It's okay. So this will add different signs. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 8 minus 2 is 6. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it's negative 16 for the second number in the first column, for the first row. Next, first row, right column. So 3 times negative 2 is negative 6.
Now it's negative 16.
And negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. When you combine these, that gives you negative 22. We are going to now move to your middle column, or sorry, your middle row, first column. So negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. 1 times negative 8 is negative 8. Add those. That gives you negative 20. So that's the first row in your second, or sorry, first number in your second row. Next, we're doing second row by second column. So -2 times 4 is -8. 1 times 7 is 7. -8 plus 7 is -1. Next, you are going middle row by far right column. So -2 times -2 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. We add those and we get 8. So the last number in that column, or that row, sorry, is 8. Next, we are going bottom row by first column. So -5 times 6 is -30. And 7 times -8 is -56. Add those, and that's -86. Last row, middle column. -5 times 4 is -20. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 minus 20 is 29. Lastly, last row, last column, -5 times -2, 10. 7 times 4, 28. So that gives you 38. So your answer for this one is this matrix here. Here with your first row being the 50, -16, -22. Second row as -20, -1, -8, or sorry, +8. And bottom row, last row, -86, 29, 38. For number 8, we're doing -3 times D. Well, D was that 5, 6, 0, -9, -6, 2, and -3, -4, 7. So we're just going to multiply -3 into all of that. So I'm going to write that all down first. From here, we're going to multiply that -3 by each of those 9 terms inside of this matrix. So -3 times 5 gives us -15. -3 times 6 is -18. -3 times 0 is 0. -3 times -9 is 27. -3 times -6 is +18. -3 times 2 is -6. -3 times -3 is +9. -3 times -4 is +12. And -3 times 7 is -21. So this one is super simple. And it gives you your answer. For our next one, number 9, you have B times D times, or -2 times A. So we're going to start by doing B times D. So that's that matrix that we had of 2, -9, 5, -3, 1, 0, times D, which is that 5, 6, 0, -9, -6, 2, -3, -4, 7. Once we do that, we are then going to subtract 2 times A, which is 6, 4, -2, -8, 7, 4. So first thing we're going to do is the multiplication with that B times D. So we're going to go first row by first column. 2 times 5 gives us 10. -9 times -9 is 81. 5 times -3 is -15. Your 10 plus 81 is 91. Minus 15, that 1 would turn into 11. So 11 minus 5 is 6. 9 would turn into an 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. So that's 76. Let's do it this color. Next, you're doing top row, middle column. 2 times 6 is 12. -9 times -6 is 54. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Combine these. Your 12 plus 54 is 66, minus 20 is 46. Next, top row, last column. 2 times 0 is 0. Negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. 5 times 7 is 35. 0 minus 18 is negative 18. 35 minus 18 is what you'll do next. That 5 turns into 15, making the 3 a 2. So 15 minus 8 gives us 7. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that's 17. So that is your first row. Next, we're going to move down to your bottom row, first column. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. 0 times negative 3 is 0. So negative 15 minus 9 is negative 24. Next, bottom row, middle column. Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. 0 times negative 4 is 0. So you have negative 18 minus 6, which is negative 24. Lastly, bottom row, last column. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. And 0 times 7 is 0. So that just leaves you with 2. So this is just the matrix you get when you multiplied B times D. You still need to do the negative 2 times the 6, 4, negative 2, negative 8, 7, 4. So you're going to have a matrix. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 2 times negative 8 is 16. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. And negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. From here, you're just adding or combining terms that are in the same spots or the same places. So you have 76 plus negative 12, or 76 minus 12. That's 6 minus 2 is 4. 7 minus 1 is 6. So your first number is 64. Then you have 46 plus negative 8, or 46 minus 8. That 6 would turn into 16, making that 4 a 3. So that's 38. Then you have 17 plus 4. So that's 21. Then you have negative 24 plus 16. Different signs. Keep the sign of the bigger number, which is negative. Then subtract. 4 would turn into 14, making that 2 a 1. 14 minus 6 gives us 8. So that's negative 8. Then you have negative 24 plus negative 14, which is negative 38. And 2 plus negative 8, which is negative 6. So that is your answer. For your next set of questions, you are determining whether the given matrices are inverses of one another. For number 10, your first we're going to use as A, second we're going to use as B. Remember with these, in order for you to tell whether or not they're whether or not the matrices are inverses, you're going to do A times B B times A, and it should give you the matrix of 1, 0, 0, 1. If it doesn't, they're not inverses. So with this, for your A times B for number 10, you're going to do 4, negative 1, negative 3, 2, times 2/5, 1/5, 3/5, 4/5. If we multiply, 4 times 2/5 is 8/5. Negative 1 times 3/5 is negative 3/5. When we subtract these, that gives us 5/5, which is 1. So that first number is going to be 1. Next, you do first row, second column. So 4 times 1/5 is 4/5. Negative 1 times 4/5 is negative 4/5. Subtract those, that gives you 0. Bottom row, first column, negative 3 times 2/5 is negative 6/5. 2 times 3/5 is 6/5. Combine those, that gives you 0. Bottom row, second column, negative 3 times 1/5 is negative 3/5. 2 times 4/5 is 8/5. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 over 5 gives us 1. So because this gives you that same matrix that we said, that 1, 0, 0, 1, these two are inverses. However, with number 11, if we use the first as A, second as B, you're going to go negative 2, 5, 8, 1 times negative 1, negative 5, 8, 2. The negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. Does this give you 1? Nope. 23, not 32. Negative 23. That does not give you 1. So do you need to keep going with these? No, you don't. They're not inverses. I have to do the last one. I had this open so I can see those matrices for the
A, B, C.
questions, the A, B, C, D, E.